sister?
我最喜欢的颜色是紫色。
I like taekwondo.
I am born to be a leader. We're twins. My favorite color is dark blue.
I like to carry the torch for Special Olympics.
I am just like you.
I'm just like you.
Io sono come voi.
I'm just like you. 我和你一样。
We're just like you.
我是西狗木团。
I'm just like you.
I am just like you.
We are just like you. Soy como tú. I'm just like you.
I'm
just like you.
I am just like
You.
I'm just like you. I like our.
My favorite song is Michael Jackson.
I make jewelry. I made this bracelet.
I like to read, eat, and sleep.
Mi piace la scuola, un pochino della scuola.
I like to sing Smooth Criminal with Billie Jean.
I like ice cream. I like tacos. Moi, je aimais à jouer foot.
Then I pick my favorite color.
Off the Wall. Thriller.
You want to sing one for us?
No.
Me gusta la gimnasia. I love my sister.
That's your brother, silly. You're a sister.
我最喜欢的颜色是紫色。
I like taekwondo.
I am born to be a leader. We're twins.
Hi, my name is Molly Korte, founder of Project Just Like You. I began Project Just Like You after my son Jacob was diagnosed with autism in the summer of 2016. I started jumping in and sharing stories about how we are all more alike than different. It started as a social media campaign and it evolved to a nonprofit. I'm so glad that you're here tonight with us. Thank you for being here. We want to share your story. You can click on our webpage or you can email us at projectjustlikeYou@gmail.com to fill out a form. Tonight is Movement Monday, a 2018 initiative of Project Just Like You. Our goal is to introduce you to people that we feel are making a difference in the differently abled community, people who support and advocate for inclusion, and anyone else who we think are champions of the disabilities community. Join our movement by watching these Movement Mondays each week. Movement Mondays are produced by Fiat Media, so we want to give them a huge shout out and thank you. They make this possible. You can check them out on Facebook. Just look them up at Fiat Ministry, or you can check them out their webpage, which is fiatministry.tv. I hope you'll take a moment to click the share button and tell your friends what you are watching tonight. Tonight, one lucky person who contributes a relative question or comment during our live interview will win some swag from the National Down Syndrome Society. So make sure to comment and ask questions. Tonight, we welcome our guest, Sarah Hart-Weir, President and CEO of the National Down Syndrome Society. Sarah Hartweir is a Kansas native. Sarah's passion for fighting for the human rights of all people with Down syndrome stems from her experience as a peer mentor and a friend to a young woman with Down syndrome named Casey over 2 decades ago. As NDSS president, she oversees the organization's mission, vision, and administration, which is the largest nonprofit in the United States dedicated to advocating for people with Down syndrome and their families. Sarah's philosophy to effective advocacy is to be at the table, and she works each day to ensure that people with Down syndrome are represented at the table where critical decisions are made, whether it's the White House, the US Congress, the United Nations, or in state capitals across the nation. Under her leadership, NDSS led the bipartisan advocacy effort behind the passage of the landmark historic ABLE Act in 2014. Sarah spearheaded the launch of the NDSS New DS Works campaign, the first of its kind campaign showing the world that people with Down syndrome are ready, willing, and able to work. Sarah joined the NDSS in 2012 as the Vice President of Advocacy and Affiliate Relations and established the NDSS DS Ambassador Program, the first ever grassroots advocacy network for the Down syndrome community that encourages advocates of all kinds to speak up and speak out on issues of critical importance. Sarah has a BA in Psychology and Political Leadership from Westminster College and a Master of Science in Public Policy and Management from Carnegie Mellon University. She has earned many honors, including Westminster College Senior of the Year, Winston Churchill Award for Leadership and Service, Coca-Cola Community All-American, and was the recipient of the 2014 Westminster College Young Alumni Achievement Award. She also served on the Board of Trustees for her alma mater, Westminster College, and is currently the President Emeritus of the Alumni Council. Sarah also gave the 2014 Westminster Convocation Address, highlighting her passion for the NDSS and advocating for people with Down syndrome. Sarah is an international expert and featured speaker on Down syndrome, the ABLE Act, and advocating for human rights for people with disabilities. She has been featured in the USA Today, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, NPR, Washington Post, CNN, Fox News, The Hill, Money Magazine, Al Jazeera, and now in Movement Monday with us tonight. In her spare time, you can find Sarah deep into a nonfiction book or at a soul cycle or a hot yoga class in Washington, D.C. or New York City. She's very busy. Welcome, Sarah. We are so glad to have you here tonight. How are you?
Thank you so much, Molly. I'm so excited to be here. We've been planning this for quite some time, so it's such an honor to be with you on this fantastic Columbus Day.
Well, the honor is all ours, Sarah, and we are so excited to have you on our show tonight and to kick off October, which is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. So what a wonderful, we're just so happy to have you on here tonight. So thank you so much. One of the things I admire so much about you, Sarah, and when I met you at the Buddy Walk in DC, is your passion and determination in the advancement of those with Down syndrome in our society. It is my understanding that this stems from your very special friend, Casey. Please tell us about her.
Absolutely. Well, I was honored to get involved in this amazing community many years ago, almost 20 years ago. I started working with Casey Cattell. She's from my hometown in Lake, Kansas, and I was introduced to Casey and her mom. They were looking for a peer mentor to work with Casey during the summer, and the summer after my freshman year at Westminster, had the opportunity to get to know Casey at a personal level. And I had the chance through that entire summer and that experience to understand that just like this show and just like the important work that you do, Casey was like me. She things that I wanted to do, She wanted to be treated with dignity and respect and be valued in our society. And through that experience, really almost had a second family through Casey, her mom, and her late dad. And because I also have two incredible parents, my mom and my dad, had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. the following summer. And through that experience, got to work for an advocacy firm downtown. And that advocacy firm really specialized in clients from the disability community and the disability sector. And having that experience at a very micro level, working with Casey day in and day out, and then being able to experience Washington, D.C. and really understand how legislation advances on Capitol Hill and how these tiny issues that organizations like NDSS work on can really make a lasting impact on somebody like Casey. You know, the spark happened, and I really knew that I wanted to become for people with disabilities.
I love that, Sarah. And you said that because of your friendship with Casey, you actually went back and expanded on your majors to advance forward. Is that correct? To advance forward in this area.
I did. I absolutely did. And when I first started at Westminster, obviously helping people in public service and the ability to really have those interpersonal relationships. And after that summer in Washington, I just caught the political guy. I caught the Capitol Hill and Washington, D.C. vibe and expanded my major to do political leadership. And through that experience, I always thought I would go to law school or do something in the corporate world, and came back. And the following summer, and I interned at the Children's Defense Fund and got to work on a lot of children's rights issues like the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which obviously is vitally important to inclusive education for students with disabilities in our school system. I know you know this through your personal experiences. And then my parents really pressured me around my own kitchen table to figure out what I would do with my life and what I grew up. And so instead of really going the traditional law school route, I really got interested in the field of public policy and went on to grad school and got my master's in public policy and management at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. And so I always say, being from Kansas, I slowly made my way out east to Washington, D.C., and I've been there since very, very early 2006, so quite some time now.
That's awesome. And what you're doing now is just incredible, Sarah. So thank you. And thank you to Casey for bringing you into this arena of where you are now and what you're doing to help advance the betterment of society as a whole. So I'm going to take a quick break here for a second, Sarah, and welcome some people who joined us. We want to welcome Tracy, Reagan, Sherry, Stephanie, Karen, Sarah, Karen, Lori, Kim, Amanda, and Candy. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Again, we are with Sarah Hart-Weir, the CEO and president of the National Down Syndrome Society. So Sarah, there could be some people here that are joining us tonight that may not know what the mission of the NDSS is. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So at the National Down Syndrome Society, I think we have the most important mission in the world, and that is human rights organization for all individuals with Down syndrome. And just a little bit of a kind of fun fact, if you will, we actually changed our mission statement about a year and a half ago in early January of 2018 as part of our current strategic plan, because and I advocated for this, within our own board of directors and with our staff. I really feel as a disability community past this whole value and acceptance, and to really truly accomplish our mission and truly focus on individuals with Down syndrome, and like you said in my bio, putting them at the table ensure that people with disabilities have the same rights as everyone else. And so that human rights element of what we do and what we seek to do and accomplish is truly important to me. And I think it's a guiding principle and value of all of the critical decisions we make as an organization, whether that's, you know, supporting or endorsing a piece of federal legislation or a piece of state legislation, or creating a new program or key new initiative that's really going to serve and represent and support individuals with Down syndrome to lead their best life.
Absolutely. What are some of those current legislations that you're working on right now, Sarah, with the NDSS?
So really the three programmatic pillars of NDSS that we focus on, obviously the Heart of What Regional Advocacy and Policy Center that is run out of our Washington, D.C. office. We've really built that team up over the last several years. We have staff members to the National Advocacy and Policy Center, and you may have seen, she's become pretty famous, but we actually now have the first registered lobbyist, Kayla McEwen,
Yes.
who happens to have Down syndrome. You know, Kayla is really becoming the face of, you probably have seen her on CBS Sunday Morning,
yes.
or
yes.
Now This Her. So now if you haven't seen it, Now This Her. I rolled out that new media, and Kayla was not only the first woman to be represented on Now This Her, but she was actually the first person profiled last week on Now This Her. So we're very proud of Kayla and the work that she did. It goes to everything we stand for as an organization. It's about putting people with Down syndrome at the table. And, you know, when people with Down syndrome are at the table, those key folks that are making those decisions are influenced. And, you know, pretty soon we're going to live in a world where somebody with Down syndrome has my job. And really, that's really true success as we should strive as an organization and as a society. So obviously we're working really hard on our Lost Syndrome campaign. Next year is actually the 40th anniversary of the National Down Syndrome Society. So I can't spoil everything for you because I think some of my colleagues are watching and they may be pretty upset with me. And then in addition to, I heard it candy, so I really love the SS. But in addition to the work we do on the advocacy front, we also have, in my opinion, the very best programs serving people with Down syndrome at a national level. That's focused on showing the world from Main Street to Wall Street and everywhere in between that people with Down syndrome are ready, willing, and able to work. And through our employment program, we are putting the dialogue that people with Down syndrome want to work, should work, and we're really engaging with corporate America that, you know, hiring people with Down syndrome is good for the bottom line. And then in addition to our DS Works program, we're always putting out the very best information on Down syndrome in the world, promoting new resources and new materials for health promotion. One of the things you'll see toward the end of this year is our new and expectant parent guide that's really focused on not only everything a new or expectant mom or dad or family member needs to know about Down syndrome, you know, but what are dreams that individuals have for their own lives. And so that will be threaded into our new and expectant parent guide.
Excellent. You know, one of the things that I love so much about the Down syndrome community is how closely bonded everyone is in the community. So when an expecting parent finds out that they have a child that's going to be born with Down syndrome, how the community comes together and just, you know, it just showers that family with love and with gifts, and, you know, just it's a beautiful thing that you guys have. And the other thing, Sarah, I wanna touch on that you were talking about, Hesley, how you're hoping one day, or how you know one day, someone is going to step in and take your place who has Down syndrome, who will be the president and CEO of NDSS. And it is such an exciting time right now to be alive and to see what's going on in the disability community and the changes. that are taking place. I mean, it's kind of a historic time, and and it's because of the work of what you're doing, and because of the advocacy work that's going on right now. It's just a very, very exciting time to be alive and to witness this. So definitely. Go ahead, Sarah.
Is.
It's exciting.
I was gonna totally agree. It's, I think, the most exciting point in time in the history of this movement, and it's only going to get better as we raise the profile and, most importantly, raise the expectations of what people with Down syndrome can do.
Absolutely, yes. We also want to welcome some new people that just joined us. Valerie, Rob, and Shelly just joined us. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this. And again, we are here with Sarah Hart-Weir, who is the president and CEO of the National Down Syndrome Society. So thank you for choosing to spend your evening with us. We have some comments and some questions for you, Sarah. Lori says, I have Lori says, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter with Down syndrome, and I have so much drive to advocate and love it so much. She has a strong following on social media, but what advice can you give me to advocate on a larger scale? And that is from Lori. Thank you, Lori.
Well, yes, thank you, Lori. Good evening. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations on your old, or the 2-month or 2-year-old?
It's a 2-year-old. She's adorable.
Oh,
her name's Emily.
Beautiful name. We have a colleague named Emily. No, Lori, nice to meet you. One of the things that we actually created back in 2012 with NDSS, it's one of my babies that we started, was our NDSS program. And through our ambassador program, it really provides a platform for advocates of all abilities, including parents, moms, dads, uncles, and most importantly, our self-advocates. It teaches them how to become advocates, either from your computer screen, from your iPhone, or of an extra step forward and actually join us like Molly did. I think, Molly, you could become one of our key testimonials for our annual Buddy Walk on Washington. This is our chance to really voice our nation's capital. We meet in a very professional way with your senators and your congressional delegations on both sides of the aisle, on both sides of the Capitol. And because of the professionalism of our staff at NDSS, we help teach you to advocate in a very strategic way. We have proactive legislation that we advance. That if you've heard of the ABLE Act, the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, the reason we were able to get this done is because, Lori, of people like you, people like Molly, who just understand that making your voice heard a big way can go a long way, and it can help you, and it can help the Down syndrome community speak together with one collective voice. Oftentimes in Washington, we're playing defense in legislation or on laws that we need to protect. But then there's a lot of times, like with the ABLE Act, we can go on offense, and we can create these new programs that are all about giving syndrome a hand up and not a handout. And that's what we really strive for at the National Down Syndrome Society. So we'll make sure you get some information on our NDSS, our Down Syndrome Ambassador program, because we'd love to have you join us.
It's a truly wonderful program. And it's, speaking for myself, Sarah, it's such an honor to be part of that ambassador program, because it goes so far. And going back to the Buddy Walk, that was one of the most powerful experiences I've had, was going up to the hill and really feeling like our voices were being heard and acknowledged. It's awesome. All right, so we have another comment for you, Sarah. Kim says, "Thank you, Sarah, for your passion in supporting people with Down syndrome." Well, thank you, Kim. And then
Kim.
And then we have another question for you, Sarah. Tracy wants to know, can you tell us about the C21 in Atlanta and how we can get involved with it in RVA or Richmond?
Tracy, great question. Very I'm sitting in this lovely Hampton Inn Suites in Atlanta, Georgia. Tomorrow we're actually popping up our third C21 in Atlanta, Georgia. We've hosted the first one almost a year ago last week in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. I believe, Tracy, you were with us. We hosted the second C21 at the historic New York Stock Exchange. And tomorrow we're hosting our third one at the Atlanta Cultural Center. And we're really excited about this. C21, to symbolize chromosome 21, is a pop-up restaurant where the entire restaurant is run and operated by people with Down syndrome and other disabilities, from hosts to the maitre d' to the chefs to there's very generous bartenders. It's a chance to invite members of the community, business leaders, elected officials, and community leaders that have actually never even engaged with somebody with Down syndrome or another disability. And the goal is not to show that everyone with Down syndrome should work in a restaurant. We have folks that are very passionate about working in restaurants. The goal is to engage and have a dialogue with people with Down syndrome and to really walk away, especially for those individuals that have never had a family member or loved one or had them in their classroom or in their business. It's a chance to have a conversation and really walk away knowing that when it comes to seeing what people with Down syndrome can do in all aspects of our society, those expectations are through the roof. And we utilize the C21 platform to make that happen. And what we want to do, we have a call to action. Tomorrow's call to action, I'm going to keep that a surprise as well, is it's a big chance to know how you as an individual, you as an advocate can really make a difference, whether that's hiring somebody with Down syndrome in your business, whether that's picking up the phone like we need phone or an email or a tweet to support some new legislation that creates a more inclusive employment opportunities for people with Down syndrome, or it makes you appreciate the gifts and the true values that people with Down syndrome bring to our society. So C21's coming to Atlanta. We're going to be coming to Dallas later this year. And then we have some big news in store for 2019, where we'll be expanding C21 really across the country.
That's exciting. Very exciting. Sarah, we have another question from another Sarah. Sarah asks, how is the quote, Able Act to Work Act going? Did you get that?
Say that.
Sure.
Cut out for a second.
Sure, no problem. So Sarah asks, how is the Able Act to Work Act going? Is that?
Great question. That's a great question. One of my other favorite topics to talk about, anything related to ABLE. So the Able to Work Act was actually a piece of legislation that we introduced in the last two Congresses. And the introduction of the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act. And what that allowed for, it actually passed as part of the tax reform package last December. And it's actually now need to actually save more resources into your ABLE account on an annual basis. It actually incentivizes the working adult with a disability to save an additional $12,000 attached to the federal poverty line, if we want to get really wonky, into your ABLE account. And states I was just at the 529 ABLE Summit in Orlando, Florida 2 weeks ago, speaking about the ABLE and what the states are doing across the country and how we need to increase marketing, advocacy, and awareness of ABLE accounts. But we now have the Able to Work Act as another tool in the toolbox. and it's actually really part of our Law Syndrome initiative. And we are very excited because of a lot of the advocates that joined us last October in Washington, D.C. We were able to pass that legislation pretty quickly, and it's great to see that annual limit for our working adults go from $15,000 a year now to $27,000 a year that a working adult with a disability can save for the future. It's pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
We'd be happy to send you more information, and we definitely have a lot of information available on our website.
Awesome. Yeah, that is just a fantastic legislation piece. It's wonderful. So, Sarah, I'm going to pull back and ask you a question here. I understand that you're doing work and you're partnering with organizations in other countries to help empower those with Down syndrome. Can you tell us about that? Some of the other organizations internationally.
Absolutely. So, NDSS, we're very proud to be part of Down Syndrome International. It's the umbrella organization that brings countries together we meet every 2 years in a different. I paid to go to India several years ago, and then my colleagues Candy, Colleen, and Emily and I joined DSI Down Syndrome International in Scotland back in July. And through those experiences, we're really able to network and find out the best practices as to what's going on in countries across the world. One of my favorite experiences was back in Scotland. I had the chance just and learn about what they've done to streamline federal benefits for individuals with Down syndrome in Australia. They've actually created a standalone disability insurance program that I replicated here in the United States. It's more of an effort to do self-direction. Money follows the person, and it allows for individuals with Down syndrome and their families to choose the benefits and have that choice that's right for the individual, rather than one provider or one other program. One of the things that not just me but my entire team we experience on a daily basis are phone calls from parents and grandparents and now caregivers, brothers and sisters that are navigating a very complex system. You have to go to the Social Security office to navigate that bureaucracy, and you have to go to the state Medicaid agency to navigate Medicaid and healthcare and your home and community-based waiver. And so learning from what other countries have done has been truly valuable, and it's been an effort on the part of NDSS to be at the table with these conversations. We've actually had the opportunity to partner with the Ukraine Down Syndrome organization. That is an umbrella organization that represents those families and those self-advocates across the entire country of Ukraine. And then we've also worked very closely with SOT, which is the Down Syndrome Society of Saudi Arabia, to ensure they are receiving the best resources on Down syndrome. We've translated all of our materials for them in Arabic. They're creating some really great new employment programs, as they actually have some really great schools that are focused on ensuring that individuals with Down syndrome have access to universal design for learning and opportunities to grow and develop throughout the Middle East. So we're very honored to be part of those key initiatives.
That's very exciting, Sarah. So is in the Middle East right now, is this, or really all the different countries, Scotland and so forth, have these organizations been around for a while? Are they relatively new? Or just curious on the in the advancement of other places in this world.
That's a great of the organization. Yes, that's a great question, Molly. Some of the organizations have been around as long as we have, for almost 40 years. Some of those organizations are more progressive, and others are understanding not only the importance of direct service. Actually, we'll be in the next international conferences in Dubai in 2020.
Exciting.
Relatively, obviously new. United Arab Emirates, a conglomerate of different areas of the Middle East, but also a lot of organizations starting about that direct service and making sure students have access to education and therapies and support. But it really needs to be a continuum of supporting individuals with Down syndrome across the lifespan. The life expectancy, as we well know, in 1983 here in the United States was 25, and today it's 60s and 70s. So even here in the United grow, and celebrating that huge milestone is something that we at NDSS are even expanding our efforts around. And one of those efforts is actually our annual where we invested in a conference specifically focused on adult issues, everything from caregiving to guardianship, economic self-sufficiency, then tackling that people don't want to talk about. The sexual assault rate in the disability community is 7 times over the general public. We need to be talking about that. And so our adult summit will actually be hosted in next April 4th through the 6th. We'd love for any of your viewers to join us and be part of that. We'll be announcing the speaker series and notes, as well as our session topics here in the next couple of days. All of this information is on our website, but we really encourage folks from all aspects of our amazing community to take part in this, because we're all lifelong learners, that our families have this information at their fingertips, because a lot of it hasn't been available because our folks haven't been living as long as they do now. And that's something obviously to
Absolutely, Sarah. Sarah, I'm going to take a quick second again and welcome some people who just joined us. We want to say hi to Sohail, to PS, Jennifer, and Terry. Thank you again for joining us. And we have another question for you, Sarah. Lori wants to know, can you explain the importance of person-first language? Thank you, Lori.
Person-first language, yes. Every press interview I do, every interview we do at NDSS, we are constantly pushing out our person-first language guide. No, it's truly important. And I remind people of this all the time. When you've met one person with Down syndrome, you've met one person with Down syndrome. Our folks are individuals first and foremost. They should not be defined by their disability. They should be defined on who they are as a person on the inside. And so an individual with Down syndrome, obviously it should be the individual, and I like to say, who just happens to have Down syndrome. If you need to, make sure that that is something we're pushing, on a news story. We have to celebrate, obviously, those milestones of the successes that people with Down syndrome, have day in. But it's truly about the individual. And, I think it goes without saying that people first language is key to everything that we push at the National Down Syndrome Society. And I would also say, Lori, one of the things I'm most proud about during my tenure here at NDSS is our ability to walk the walk and talk the talk. Almost 25% of our staff at NDSS has Down syndrome, and across all of our departments, on staff in both our New York and our DC office. We just had a colleague who has Down syndrome that's joining us. I believe his first week was October 1st. You may have seen him on a famous movie, Where Hope Grows, but we're very excited. David DeSantis has joined our communications team, and he's definitely making the buddy walk circuit. He'll be the month, and it's truly important because their voice and how they feel valued, not only in NDSS but in our entire community, is the most important we can do as an organization.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So Sarah, I'm curious, what is one of the challenges you face in your line of work and what you do?
One of the challenges in what we do? I love to talk about challenges.
They're areas of opportunity, right?
It just makes you stronger. Candy just joined me. She's like, yeah, I'm not going to put her on. But she knows that I've actually just finished up one of my new books. You read in my bio that I like nonfiction books.
Yes.
I just read the book, The All Is the Way, obstacles and those challenges that you as a leader or you as an individual face really define, who you are. I won't sugarcoat it, but because of the nature of what we do as an advocacy organization, the politics can get involved in everything that we do. And, that certainly poses a challenge, not just for the National Down Syndrome Society, but for any organization that has a large presence, capital. But I think the most important thing we can remember with any challenge is that there's an opportunity. And it's really important to remember and to remind advocates of all parents, grandparents, and of course, most importantly, self-advocates, that it's about putting people with Down syndrome at the table. And so we often say there's no left or there's no right in disability. Only word what we're doing at the National Down Syndrome Society. We're cutting through the noise and we're putting people like Kayla first and foremost in everything we do, and all of our self-advocates.
Absolutely. Awesome. And on the flip side, what do you find most rewarding in what you do?
The most rewarding thing that I do each and every day is I get to work with people with Down syndrome. For all of your listeners and all of your viewers, I'm sure 99.9% of them know and love somebody with Down syndrome just as much as I have had the opportunity to be part of her life. Kayla, Adrian, David, Jamie, Luke, and Charlotte, who work for our National Down Syndrome Society. We call our tribes create movements. And through our movement, it's working with those 6 individuals day in and day out. I mean, they keep it real each and every day. And I feel fortunate to work alongside them, be part of their tribe, and be part of this larger community that really, wants to make a difference in the lives of individuals and really, truly, wants to see a society where individuals with Down syndrome have that fair shot at the American dream.
That's awesome. Yeah. And, speaking of Kayla, I saw the video of her, the video that was just posted, the Her Story. Is that right? With, she is just so incredible. I mean, she has such a powerful voice. She's awesome. I need to have her on my show, Sarah. She's great. So I'm sure that is, just to.
I think that.
What's that?
No, I was going to say, I think that was the questions on your survey was, who else should you have on your show? And I'm pretty sure I said you should have Kayla.
You did. Yeah. I'm going to reach out to her. Yeah, I'm going to reach out to her because she's truly making such an impact right now. What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't. What did you?
She absolutely. No, Kayla absolutely is. She is having the time of her life, and most importantly, she's making friends. One of the questions that I wish had aired when we did the CBS Sunday Morning piece a couple months ago, and Steve Hartman asked me while we were doing our run, would you have hired Kayla had she not had Down syndrome? And I basically was like, did you not just interview her and spend the day with her? Yes, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yes. Yeah, see her abilities, absolutely. She's an inspiring person with or without Down syndrome. She's an inspiring person. Mm-hmm. So that's fantastic. Well, Sarah, is there anything here that we haven't covered that you'd like to cover that I haven't touched on, or that we haven't, anything else?
No.
Okay, awesome.
So cool to spend the evening with you, to have this chance to talk about NDSS.
Yeah, well, it's been so awesome. It's been exciting, and it's such an honor to have you on here, Sarah, and we're thrilled. So thank you again for spending your time with us and spending your evening and talking about what you love doing. Sarah, we are going to pick a number here.
Thank you.
Oh, did you get all that? We're cutting in and out here. All right, so Sarah, I'd like you to pick a number, please, between 1 and 65. We're going to pick the lucky winner for tonight.
Okay, I'd love to. So it's pretty simple. We're going to go with my soccer number 7.
Nice, 7. Okay, drum roll. All right, give a few seconds. Waiting.
So much pressure. Hold on.
My husband's doing the drawing right now. All right, we're waiting.
Oh, actually, it looks like Lori Wolf.
Oh, Lori Wolf! Yay! Oh. Lori, congratulations! Yay! So Lori, if you could please email me your address, and then I will just email that on to you. Does that work, Sarah? I'll get that information over to you.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Sarah, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much again. I've loved learning even more about the NDSS, and just thank you again for spending your evening with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, and enjoy the conference tomorrow. And this sounds really exciting. So more information is going to come out tomorrow, right?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to stay tuned. Sounds great. Well, enjoy, Sarah, and thank you again. And thank you for everyone else who was here who joined us tonight. You guys made it possible, and we were thrilled to have everyone here tonight. So thank you, everyone. And thank you for engaging a project just like you. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you, Sarah. Good night.